welcome. This channel is called True Maps. And today I'm going to do a reaction video to Last Week in Culture number 6 by Fleccas Talks. Link in the description below. That dog fell over.
Oh my god, that was not the right way to do that.
Oh, he got hurt. Oh, look at that. The kid has guns. The kid's throwing away that gun. Oh, yeah. Oh, golf carts.
It's 2 against 1. They're taking him out one way or the other. This is it for Hulk Hogan.
What do we have here?
This is crazy. They can't help it. He don't have a friend left.
I wonder if it's because he's not wearing a mask. Everyone else is wearing a mask. Oh, and then here comes Dan Harmon. Is that Dan Harmon? I'm not sure if that's Dan Harmon.
Hey, Arthur. Hey, Buster. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I just watched it. It was awful. I can't believe someone would be hurt like that just because they're black.
Racism is so unfair.
Wait.
Are they talking about the George Floyd video?
Talking about George Floyd?
Oh, man.
This is my husband, Miles, and he's pregnant. Miles and I are a trans family. I identify as a trans woman,
This is
and
the,
Miles identifies as a trans man.
Learning channel. We're learning. Look at that. He fills up the water.
No one should ever judge someone by the color of their skin.
But how could it happen here in Elwood City?
Is this fake? It's real.
Huh. It's like a pump.
Buster, it happens everywhere. I was talking to Mrs. McGrady the other day. She said there's a really long history of black people not being treated fairly in this country.
Well, we should have a conversation with Ms. McGrady. Ms. McGrady, these kids are, what, 5 years old? Now's not the time to be trying to explain racism.
You have your son is 5 years old, and you know, obviously having a child changes one's perspective on things and makes you see things with fresh eyes in many senses. Have you had, I mean, I know he's 5 years old. Have you had a conversation with him about race? I know it's something you've written about, just the sort of the
Gloria Vanderbilt's son there really doesn't want to ask this question in a plain way. He's uncomfortable. Is he pretending to be uncomfortable, or is he just uncomfortable?
feeling of, gosh, I'm going to have this conversation sometime soon.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to me. I'm trying to push that as long as I can, because there's something about the level of innocence that's ripped from a child when they have to face race. Like, I love watching him play with his friends or coming home from school and talk about his friends, never describing them by race at all, ever, not once in these years that he's been talking and smart enough to ask me all kinds of questions. So my hope is that I can keep it from him as long as I can.
When are we going to have the...
So he wants to keep the talk about race from his 5-year-old for as long as he can, because his 5-year-old doesn't care about it, and he won't have to care about it until he's the age where other people care about it, I guess. All right, well, so it's not inherent. Racism isn't inherent in people. They're not born with it. It's a learned behavior. It's not inherent.
Conversation with our kid about us being trans.
No, from the time that she's born, we're going to expose her to diversity and let her know that families come in all shapes and sizes. I think Miles is handsome in this state, and he's glowing, and...
It's a very masculine glow, though. It's a very masculine glow.
Maybe Mrs. McGrady can give us some ideas. Hold on.
Wait, are they Skyping because of coronavirus?
I'm so glad you reached out to me.
Yes, I saw
That's
the video
Fleccas.
too. And let me tell you, it made my blood boil.
Why are these kids watching the George Floyd video?
That's what I want.
Made me scared. I mean, this happened in our neighborhood.
It is scary, Buster. But you should know that a lot of grown-ups are fighting racism and working hard to keep us all safe.
Why does this keep happening, Mrs. McGrady?
We got roasted with Buster. Buster's the worst one.
Is he actually?
Yeah, he sucks.
Does he suck?
It's funny because a lot of people are fighting against racism. And I have the feeling from what she's saying that she is actually has it backwards, has it wrong. Let's see.
Like sitting there like
Eating carrots?
like eating carrots and like, dude, they're trying to explain racism to you. And you can't not eat.
Racism is like a disease. If you don't treat it, it's just going to get worse.
Wait, if racism is a disease, can I get it?
I want to mention that Hitler talked about disease and pathology and vermin and extermination and set out to dehumanize a population and saddle them with the blame for the ills of society.
So don't worry. This isn't about you.
It's not enough to just say, I'm not racist. It's not my problem. We have to actively fight against racism.
I don't like Miss McGrady. Miss McGrady's got
She's
issues.
a liberal. She's got Bernie sticker on the Prius.
Yeah, where's Mr. McGrady? I bet he's not around, or at least not around anymore. Mr. McGrady toodles. Is this PBS?
Yeah.
Public broadcasting. So that's funded. Defund PBS, obviously. Hashtag
Defund PBS, for sure. I had a real red pill moment on PBS. I'll do a video on it later. But it was when the Drexel professor was on there after the Las Vegas shooting, and he was talking to Amy Goodman, and he said something to the effect of, why is it that white men are going on these shooting sprees? And I was like, oh, good. Amy Goodman is going to say, even if every person who was a mass murderer was white, it wouldn't mean that all white people are mass murderers. And she had a perfectly good reason to call that out and a perfectly good time to call that out. I'll do a video about that. But she missed that opportunity because it's not in keeping with Marxist identity politics.
Defund PBS.
Defund
and
PBS.
I think we should designate the writing room of Arthur a terrorist organization as well.
He's not kidding.
And then run out. Oh, there he is.
I mean, he's a little bit kidding. But indoctrinating children with Marxist and anti-American, literally anti-American ideology is, that's pretty bad. You wouldn't want somebody teaching creationism in school. Why would you want someone teaching a positive view of an ideology that has left a huge red blood stain on history every time it's been put into practice? Why do you want to reach kids before they are able to think critically about something? That's pretty funny.
What's your name? What? What is your name? Tony. Fuck you, Tony. What's your name? Ezekiel. Fuck you, Ezekiel. Fuck you.
Friends are dying! Our black friends are dying!
We died for you. I want to pause real quick and react to the woman who was splashed with paint. I don't know if you heard it, but she said, "We died for you." You know what? We died for you. And she is talking about everything that happened before this generation, all of the civil rights struggle, all of the resistance to tyranny, and the blood that was spilled, bringing America into alignment with its stated political goals. It's been a long process, and it's been hard to do that. And now that we're moving away from these admirable goals of equality and of democracy and liberty, she realizes she's in a spot where she needs to speak out against the people who she's protesting with. Ted Wheeler, the mayor of Portland, which is where that took place, said that they were trying to commit murder by setting the front and rear exits of a building on fire that was occupied by police. They were pulling down the boards and setting fire inside and trying to block the exits and literally cause the death of these police. And this woman wanted to speak out against it. And you saw they threw paint on her. They mostly missed her. They only got her in the eye. And she said, you know what? You know what? And she tried to talk them down and stop them. And they said, no, this is not your world anymore. And then she tried to explain herself, and they immediately just started yelling for her to put her mask on. And that is the kind of non-central bullying that we see a lot when people try to speak up, when they think that the leftists have gone too far.
Well, as you see, our whole plaza has been destroyed, set fire to, trash thrown by what we think are protesters that do not stand for what we stand for, which is Black Lives Matter. This does not have anything to do with the cause. So I want to implore all of you to stop this nonsense.
Okay, now what he is referring to, this is my interpretation of it, is that he is not actually with the cause of the organization Black Lives Matter, that he doesn't want to disrupt capitalism, he doesn't want to dismantle the nuclear family, he doesn't want to instill a racial hierarchy, a gender and sexual orientation hierarchy, and he seems to probably be focused on the cause of ending discrimination and racism against Black people, especially when it comes to police violence and lack of opportunities for Black people. That is the cause that we can all get behind. but those are not the stated goals of BLM, the organization. It is a clear Mott and Bailey type of argumentative or rhetorical fallacy where they state very insane goals, and then when people try to call them on the goals, they retreat to the very defensible goals of ending discrimination, opening up resources and opportunities to disenfranchised people, and supporting communities of color through unity. That's great. I'm all for that. And we all should be. But notice what's piggybacking in on the backs of that. And children know this because children are being taught this in school. College kids know this because they've been taught that. People in the media know this because they've been inundated in recent years with hires who, with people who they've hired to represent that radical view in their paper. What they found, though, is that it has caused an overthrow in the editorial oversight and even the truthfulness of the media organization. I'm referring to the New York Times. I'm referring to CNN, MSN, and beyond. Read the Barry Weiss resignation letter from the New York Times. Read Andrew Sullivan's resignation letter. Read, I can't remember her name now, the MSN management woman who called media a cancer. And she said if they could figure out how to cure that cancer, it would change the world. And I believe that. People don't understand what's going on. People think that it's that there is some sort of conspiracy, or rather, people think liberals, normal, middle-of-the-road liberals, think that people like me who are calling out and criticizing this are actually talking about some sort of unrevealed conspiracy. And that is shocking to me because it's not a conspiracy. It's overt and it's out in the open. And I'm not sure how people are missing it. So I guess that's why I'm working on this video series now. Carrying on.
These are black-owned businesses. These are put together by black-owned businesses and people of color. And you came down here and you destroyed it. And then you tried to use it in the name of Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
It is not what that is.
No.
Yeah, y'all finna get up out there.
I am too.
Yeah.
It's obviously looting. Maybe this is the looting that was in Chicago.
It was one of the biggest explosions during weeks of violence in Portland. Now, an 18-year-old teenager has been charged with throwing the firebomb. And prosecutors say he was outed by his own grandma. Gabriel Agard Berry Hill's grandmother bought him a $26 vest to shield him from...
Okay, that is not a trumped-up charge. That was a bomb. These are being called fireworks or firecrackers in a lot of the media, but these are industrial-grade fireworks. These will blow your hand off. They will blow your arm off. They will kill you. And what we've seen, if you look at the police meeting with the governor of Oregon, you can see some of what they have recovered from these bombs, these fireworks, are actually, they've been covering them with ball bearings in order to kill and maim their targets. So don't think that these are only trumped up charges. And I'm sure that some people are getting caught up in the pageantry of it or in the performance of it, and they think of it as just no one will get in trouble for what they're doing. But this guy, he threw a bomb. We just saw him throw a bomb. And if you are there supporting the bombing of a federal building, you are in danger of catching charges that you don't want to catch. And I am all in favor of peaceful protest, and I'm even in favor of a ruckus protest. You know, get out there and scream and yell and make noise and disrupt what's happening to get attention. But when you create something that lasts 75 days and you're bombing buildings and you're setting fires and you're disrupting things on a permanent basis, that's like an insurgent occupation. And I'm not trying to trump it up. I'm not trying to say that these charges should be just thrown at a blanket level at everyone. But we have to understand that these are not just protests. These are not people exercising their First Amendment rights. These are people actively trying to provoke a militarized response. So I'm not even sure if this guy realized that, or if he knew what was going on, or if, you know, he showed up and somebody gave him this bomb and, you know, he's just trying to get likes on social media and you know, look cool in his pictures and get Tinder dates or whatever. If, you know, we have to understand also that in Portland, protesting is a normal event. It is something that people do for entertainment and camaraderie. If something happens, then people protest in Portland. It is what you would call a protest city. So I don't want to undermine protesting, but if you protest, if protest is your answer to everything that happens, then perhaps it lessens the impact of protesting. It just means that something has to cross a low threshold to be protested about. And that's very different from whenever something has to cross a high threshold to bring out protesters. So I think, you know, notice that we are going to see an ever increasing amount of counter protesters as the protests themselves reach a high enough level to bring people out who would not normally come out to protest.
Rubber bullets. She even posted this customer review praising the product. I got this from my grandson, who's a protester downtown, she posted. He uses it every night and says it does the job. But federal authorities took note of the photo and say they used Grandma's post along with surveillance video of the bombing to identify the teen. Now he's facing 20 years in prison for arson if convicted.
I became very, very optimistic when everybody galvanized together, because I know that's when change comes. When people galvanize and come together as one, that's when change happens. But lately I've been very, very concerned that the message is being hijacked by some other groups or political ads and parties that are trying to stop the message of what we're asking for here is police reform, right? So, yeah, I was, but I'm worried now is because of what I'm seeing.
All right, and he's right to be worried. And also I want to point out that he has fallen prey to the Mott and Bailey rhetorical strategy. The position that the abolish the police people, the want to occupy, the position that is hard to defend is abolish the police. But that's what they really want. And if you listen or if you read, you will see that. And honestly, that in itself is fake, because they don't want to actually abolish the police. They want to be the police themselves. If you want to have a discussion about that, hit me up, because I can provide some evidence. So the Mott, that is the position that they actually want, the abolish the police position. The Bailey the easily defended position that they retreat to when challenged on the abolish the police position is defund police. I think we'll hear more from Tyler Perry on a reasonable stance about defunding the police. But I want to point out that retreating to the easily defendable position of defunding the police does not mean that when you leave that argument and when you leave that conversation, they have been convinced of something. No, it will return to the abolish the police position, the one that is harder to defend, that they actually want. If you get on Crime Think or other Antifa websites and you read their literature, if you read the BLM website, you will see what it is they're actually asking for in their own words. This is apparently BLM being thrown out.
Marching the Antifa commie bastards out of the neighborhood because
this is Antifa.
Nobody wants Antifa in the neighborhood. Nobody wants them here, so we're marching them out.
And this looks like a suburban Blue Lives Matter rally.
Bye bye, commie scum. Bye bye, go home. Bye bye. Oh shit, here we go. Great. I'm good. Antifa about to get tangled. Oh my.
Hey, come on, man. What's up here? Get that baby. Get that baby. Get that baby.
Well, believe it or not, he's so deceased, he's a mere verbal. He ain't gonna hit nobody.
Did he fire his gun? No, I think it was just the sound of a water bottle.
Cameras capture the good in people. But on this day at this San Diego McDonald's, for that police officer, they caught a life's final decent act. Just after leaving that McDonald's, Officer Jeremy Henwood was gunned down, just sitting in his patrol car.
3 minutes before he was killed, he's buying lunch for some little kid he didn't even know.
This is the only thing I know how to help is to feed. And I want you guys to be hydrated and not be hungry. And I want you to go home to your families because I want my dad to come home to me. And I want my friends to come home to me. And I'm sorry. And I'm here for you all. I don't know how else to help or what else to do.
Your prayers are all with you.
Thank you. And I will be praying. Thank you. Please go home to your family. God bless you. Thank you.
There's a large movement within protest movement of defunding police. Republicans are focusing on that as saying that, you know, that Democrats want to do away with police departments, which I don't think is what defund police means. But when you hear that slogan, what do you think?
Well, when I first heard it, I was troubled by it. I thought, okay, this is going to be weaponized in this political year. I completely thought that was happening. That's exactly what's happened. It's been weaponized. But I did some research, and what I would challenge people to do is to do research on find out what it means. Now, you got to understand this. I'm not for taking money for the police department. I think we need more police. My studio is in a neighborhood where I think we need police, but we don't need a police that have or that are undertrained. And you got to understand, I have really close friends who are police officers that I love dearly, who are really good people who have been very, very hurt by this as well. And here's what I want you to understand, Anderson. Wrong where there's wrong, I'm going to stand up against it. When Rayshard Brooks was murdered, I thought that was wrong. When George Floyd was murdered, I thought that was wrong, like so many other people. But when a police officer who was white in a suburb in Atlanta was shot in the head by a shoplifter, I thought that was wrong too, and I reached out to do what I can to help his family. When Sequoia was 8-year-old was shot near the Wendy's in her mother's back seat, I thought that was wrong too. So anywhere there's wrong, I'm going to stand up against it. I just don't believe that, and I believe that I don't believe that there are lots of people. Let me just change that to understand that there are a lot of people in America who feel the way that I do. Right? I think we need the police. I know that I need the police. I have several that work for me here at the studio. We need them, but we need them reformed. We need them trained well. We need the right structure.
Look at how uncomfortable this makes Anderson Cooper. I've never seen him look that uncomfortable. Let's watch his face while Tyler Perry continues to make his very good point.
Sure, right? But some of the things inside of defund the police, I really understand, like having officers who are clinically trained to deal with certain situations. I think all of those things are helpful. But taking money from the police department to make the police department smaller, that troubles me.
Black people, when was the last time you looked at your condition? Has the government social welfare system done anything at all for you? You ride down, and we're talking about the hood now. You ride through the hood and you see nothing but just poor and poverty and drugs and, I mean, just straight welfare. What are we doing? What are we doing to help ourselves? While we sitting up here talking about the white man this and the white man that, and he owe us this and he owe us that, what do you owe yourself? Huh? Every time you get money, what do you go spend it on? You don't even invest. You spend it on Jordans and wigs and weaves and going out, turning up, doing whatever. Don't nobody invest in nothing at all. Look at your hood. Look around you. What are you doing? But I'm a coon for talking about it. Black people, wake up.
1-1. And this in the air out to right field. Adele was in.
So they're using, listen to the audio. There's no crowd. That's funny.
Have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
But the Chinese, what they said is China would prefer Joe Biden. Whether they do, that's their conclusion, that they would prefer Joe Biden.
No religion, no anything. Hurt the Bible, hurt God. He's against God, he's against guns.
You know, when you see entire media companies essentially exist to tear down Joe Biden, is there an equivalent to that on the left tearing down Trump?
There really isn't.
Wow. Okay. Let's watch that again. Because that's crazy.
You know, when you see entire media companies essentially exist to tear down Joe Biden, is there an equivalent to that on the left tearing down Trump?
There really isn't.
Wow.
Thomas, after his excellent
Wow.
approach shot, ran all the way toward the back of the green for birdie. Dude, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
You gotta be kidding him.
If you go back up here, okay, and then you type a bunch of random letters, whatever, and then hit enter. That's where it takes you.
I'm sorry, are there croutons in this?
Yeah.
It is absolutely absurd. You think I would order croutons in a Greek salad? It just goes to show that the Cheesecake Factory is a political body of the alt-left. I mean, it is nasty. This is a nasty, nasty thing to do, is to put croutons in someone's Greek salad without them asking. I mean, this is literally absurd. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
That's a good impression.
Of course you're playing the victim here. That is absolutely absurd.
There's a third one. Look!
These women range in every body type and everything. They're all successful, they're all intelligent, they're all good people. But if all of these women, including myself, are having issues, then I have to think, it might not be us. It might be you. It might be men. It might be men. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. They, quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country in the age range of about 20 to, I think, about 55, maybe even 60. A lot of men are trash.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to welcome you to the Grace Community Church Peaceful Protest.
Amazing. Yes. Yes to this. Wonderful. All right, that was a good one. Fleccas Talks is amazing. I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the description below and a link to the original source video. You can see here in the background I have Coleman Hughes up, and I'm going to be doing a fantastic Coleman Hughes piece next. Join me again for more True Maps content.